so starting out here with our S&P, we're going to start with a 1 hour chart, and we just want to zoom out a little bit first, right? Get a sense of what's going on. What this thing could be doing is it could be building a larger head and shoulders. Okay, again, I'm not trading on that information, but it's good to be aware of for the big picture, because a lot of people look at that and it may be the beginning of an actual high, at least for a few months or something. We'll see. But this thing is going to have to continue the sell-off, and at this moment, the momentum is not pointing that way. It's pointing up. Okay? Also, levels to be aware of, for the bigger picture, on the short side, you're looking at around the weekly pivot. And it basically says around 1570 to basically the high 1570s would be a good area to look for resistance. Okay, let's take a look at the currencies. All right, so, again, there's been some range-bound market here, right? This is pretty choppy, range-bound type of situation. Not much action there, right? Let me erase some of these things. Not much action. We have some action now, straight up, going into the top of this symmetry area here, right? So this is basically, we would call this symmetry, because it's just the range-bound nature of it. This is where you can be getting false breakouts. All right, I'm looking at a 4 hour chart. On a 1 hour chart, you can see this kind of steep momentum is hard to sustain. So this would be a good place to look for failure patterns for shorts, in my opinion, especially for the scalps. All right, if it fails to break out, better chance we move back toward the middle. All right, so that's trading around the 3150 area. We can look at smaller time frames. There's really nothing on the smaller time frames. You have your first, you have a pullback here, you have a little pullback here. I don't see any failed high. I don't see any lower high, not yet. But this would be a good area to look, okay, in my opinion, for the euro. That's price action. Okay, let's take a look at the pound. So the pound obviously has been moving a little bit more than the euro. Right? Its bigger picture just shows a series of higher lows and higher highs. It's in a higher low area right now. So it looks like it wants to go higher right now structurally. It looks like the favorable side is the bullish side. All right, we have some pivots here. Let me just clear these out of the way. All right, price action wise, that would also make sense if we just look at the price action and not look at the pattern. It still highlights the same area, that just above 53.50 area, right? For shorts, that would be your first resistance for the pound. Okay, so something to keep an eye on for that. It's still got to run about 50 pips before it reaches that area, but that's an area that you definitely want to keep an eye on. It's an area, it's a point of interest. Let's take a look at Aussie Dollar. So, Aussie Dollar has been following the market, the S&P. It's traditionally done that, and it's still doing it. It just doesn't do it as nicely as it used to. But look, S&P made new highs, so did this thing. This thing doing 105.70s. S&P sold off hard, so did this thing. 103 even. All right? It's just not exact. So just keep that in mind. They generally follow each other. So if S&P is generally strong, Aussie Dollar should be generally strong. All right? Now, this thing, as you can see, it's been ranging, but the range has been expanding. It's what they call an expanding triangle. These are not common. You don't see these very often. Okay? They're usually a sign of they could be a sign of a top or bottom, and they can also they're also a sign of increasing volatility. Okay, so that doesn't mean you jump in and short it now or you buy it now. It just gives you the bigger picture sense. This is a 4 hour chart, so this is pretty significant. All right, as far as levels, again, this thing has bearish momentum right now, but you really have to watch the S&P to get a lead on this. At this point, all right, you can look for I mean, I think that since the momentum is still bearish, the short trades are going to be more favorable. This is a very large swing. All right, that's a very large swing. So reaching this resistance around that 105 even is going to be, I don't know, not very likely today. Maybe over the week. I don't know. So you have to look for a smaller swing. And smaller swings, remember, have to remember, are less reliable. Smaller swings still takes you around the 104.50, 104.70 area, right? That would be a good resistance, right below the weekly pivot for a short setup. We're not getting that right now. Also, with this structure, this may turn into a short up in this area as well. Just be careful. Watch the S&P because it's already spent some time up here, right? And this thing shouldn't be spending so much time. This is a nice pattern. This is definitely structure. So the Aussie dollar is, I think, the best candidate for a short, at least a scalp short, if anything. So watch this. You can even measure your risk from here. Okay? This may be a one worthwhile. Just keep in mind, though, that if it doesn't, it needs to take out lows. If you short it, it should be taking out these lows. That's only 10 pips. It should take out that low. Once it takes out this low, the second low, that should open up a position, open up a situation where you may get some continued selling, provided the S&P is moving with you on that. That may be good for consolidation breakouts. Remember, the bigger picture fundamentals, I don't think have changed much. That's why you get these recoveries. All right? But this is not a huge recovery. It's going to have to build like a base or something. All right, so keep an eye on that.